Ted from Everything Attachments, and we're today with our 72-inch brush cutter, and we're going to go over. We've made so many improvements on almost everything we build without having the time to show you some of the improvements we've made. We're going to show you this cutter. So we've been waiting. We've got a pile of these waiting to ship out. We've been waiting on our American manufacturer to get us our bush hog blades that we designed. They're custom for us. And we get promised every Wednesday, and after about 5 weeks of not having blades and not being able to ship them, we just decided to build our own and canceled our order yesterday. So we're building them out of, there's a lot of cutters being built, the hydraulic cutters that are the brush-eating, tree-eating cutters that I know are definitely using Hardox for their blades. So it doesn't worry me a bit about using Hardox for blade. It's just going to be better than that cheap extruded steel that's really soft, that's been mashed out for the edge instead of milled, because it's a lot quicker. The hole's been punched. Nothing's as uniform or as perfectly straight as these are. The balance should be great on them just because they're the same every time. And everything about this, the way we've cut the edge and bevel, we didn't go to an exact sharp edge, just because if you go all the way to a perfectly sharp edge, the front 1/8 of an inch is going to wear really quick. We did taper this edge backwards a little bit because the front's what wears on the end, and so you should have longer life. You can see the ridges here that are each mill step that we take. We actually left those in there. Maybe it'll cut some vines or something that would possibly get wrapped up. So this is a 3-inch drop down blade, and we use a 3-inch drop down stump jumper under there. So that's why the deck is thicker on our 72-inch than it is on the 60 or 48. So you got a lot more room. In a big cutter, you get a lot of debris in there. So you want to have room for it to get mulched up before it gets spit out the back. So these new Hardox blades are the answer to having them when we want them, and we don't have to mess with just waiting on somebody that keeps making promises that don't come through. So unlike some of our competitors that make this same cutter that looks like this is not robotically welded. It's welded by people. The welds are beautiful. The paint job's good. They're double welded on the inside and the outside on everything, unlike what is usually done by a robot, which is just top welded. And a top weld to me is not anywhere near half as strong as a double weld, because it simply can be pulled away really easily. And you see the sides pushed out a lot easier than you will on these cutters. On our main plate here, if you've got an older tractor with independent PTO that engages really hard, so I've been in the tractor business with my dad since I was very young, and I've seen almost all of them come into the customers through the years, whether it was bush hogs, woods, whatever, and the gearbox is tilted a little bit where all the torque has been put on that plate. So we're using a 1/2 inch thick plate so it doesn't do that. Plus we put the bends on the end to make it super strong, and that's welded into the 2 full length rails. They're welded on all the ends and everything to make it super strong. Instead of a plastic piece to hold your drive shaft up, we've cut a piece of the metal bracing out to set your shaft in. It'll be there as long as the cutter's here, instead of that plastic that the sun eats up and it breaks and falls off. We're using a class 5 shaft with a slip clutch on all the 72-inch cutters. We do have, right now, we are using the same piece that Lampride uses for their quick attach, just because we had them available and they were so cheap. They're probably made in China or India, and we're definitely working on building and manufacturing our own piece here. Even the little drain plug in there, since it wasn't but $1 from Lampride from my family dealership, we just bought a Lampride plug, paid retail, and you can do that and use it, and stuck it in the hole for now. The only thing is, it doesn't really fit perfectly because theirs is much thinner than ours, but it pushes in and stays and does okay. So I hadn't thought of this, and I'm surprised that it hadn't been really brought up to me before, that our 72-inch cutter is not a category 1 and 2 cutter. It is a Category 1 cutter for a quick hitch. So I told my guys to grab the big tractor, and it already had a quick attach on it. We'd just use it. That's when I figured out, even for me, and I'm not a huge fan of quick attaches, but for the right things and the right setups, it is a really quick option. It's not right for everything, but it's not wrong for everything. So these are special pins that we had made just for us. We realized how soft the pins were. When I go out with a box blade or whatever and I do my demos, I end up with bent pins. Most of the time we have to cut them out with a torch just to take them out. So customers are bound to be bending these soft pins that are really junk. And so we've had grade 5 pins, and they're not grade 8, they're grade 5, which is still 3 times stronger than what we were using. This has no outside support on it today. I'm not sure with a grade 5, this is kind of a test of a few things. A grade 5 pin may support itself since it goes through a long distance here on the Category 1 part. It's got over 5 inches in there. It also has a head on all our box blades. So if your stabilizers are loose and it pushes on the side, it doesn't push the outer plate out and let it slip off the end of the pin. So it does have a head on it. So this is a pin that there's one other manufacturer using this pin, and I'm not sure who it is, but it's not most of them. And it's definitely not Land Pride. So, you know, we've tried to get this cutter like we want it to be to use and to not cause problems and be a lifetime cutter. With these hard ox blades we're getting ready to try out, we think we're the more things that we can take out of house and bring in-house where we can control the quantity, the quality, and when we need them, we can get them, just helps everything. That's why we're in the process of clearing all that land over there, building another duplicate building just like this right now, possibly another one in the near future at the rate we're growing. Our lead times have snuck up on us right now to about 5 or 6 weeks, which is about 5 weeks longer than we want them. And we are working desperately to try to get it down to a week or less. And that's what our goal will be. We'll keep building buildings and hiring people until we get there. We'll keep we just bought a new mill that will be able to do 120 inches of travel to be able to cut cutting edges. And one of the buildings we're building, half of it's going to be dedicated to building nothing but wicked buckets and tooth bars in. So we're putting in the commitment to make everything as fast as we can for you and to help us out on being able to sell when we only have a few day lead time or have inventory built up. Everything you see here is already sold at the time, and we're just waiting on parts to get them shipped out. So we're gonna start with the drone. We're gonna follow around, see if we can find a few trees. We'll probably exceed the limits. Most people would rate this as 2 inches for softwood and saplings and stuff. If there's many of them, we'll probably hit some 3s or 4s and just see what happens. If something breaks, we know how to fix it. And so we'll kind of give you an idea of where that point is. You know, most tractors that in the older days, an 80s model, an older tractor would probably be a Category 1 up to 60 horsepower. Now some of the compacts and the 40 horsepower are Category 2. So we definitely want to advance this to Category 1 and 2, and they will be quick attach for both. Whether we decide to put an outside gusset on that just depends on how our test comes today. With a tractor of this size, which normally have an even bigger cutter, we should be able to bang it up enough to give the pins a good test and the blades. So we'll leave with this and go with the drone and see what we can cut down. So we may get in over our heads, I have no idea. We're gonna rev her up. Right now it just looks like grass and some grown up brush, but something tells me there's a good reason why they've not mowed this. So far we look okay. Still gonna keep going forwards and backwards until we figure out what's in here. There's the dirt pile. I got a feeling that's that bit right behind that tail wheel. So far those blades are cutting well. Yeah, it's going down into a hole back there. Wasn't cut. Oh. Well, I also see why I don't want to use a quick attach with this thing, because I just messed up my PTO shaft. It's still working, so there goes the PTO shaft cover because of a quick attach. And that's a good reason not to use a quick attach with a rotary cutter. I'm sure we're going to end up with some dings on the outside before this is done, because we're going to find something bigger than this to cut. Oh, I see the small ditch is coming from the looks like I found part of the stump. I do have soybeans planted in there too, so I don't really want to take down everything. Nice clean cut. I don't really see anything else over here I want to cut. I was hoping to get into some heavier trees, and we'll find those. Okay, so we went over there. We couldn't really find what we wanted. We found some small brush and stuff, something that no cutter would really have any problem with. There was a big ditch behind it, so we couldn't really get where we wanted to. We're going to find another place that's got some 2-3 inch trees and take those down. So far, it really left a really nice cut with these edges. We'll take some steel shots to the edges. They held up perfectly. So even though this is quick attach ready, so is the Land Pride. A good reason to not have a quick attach on it, and it's got a little bit to do with this tractor being so big on a 6-foot cutter. The cutter is raised all the way, as you can see, and it's plenty high enough. So there's no reason to need it any higher than 4 feet. But when you and we raised this gearbox, even though it presented a problem with needing a drop down stump jumper and drop down blades to get them about 2 inches from the bottom of or 1.5 inches from the bottom of the deck, which is perfect. The blades held up great, no problem there. The reason I don't like a quick attach, especially on this rotary cutter, we raise that so many people, when they raise it, they hit their drive shaft right here on the front of the deck and they ruin their shaft. Well, this was a hole that I was letting it go down into behind there. That's why I couldn't continue back. So it went way down in there. So what the shaft did was go up into the quick attach. So if this was not hooked to a quick attach, it would not have done that, and we would still have a perfectly good everything. So we'll take some steel and the pins themselves, even though we don't have the bushings on the outside, because we were just kind of testing to see if the pin was strong enough to take it without that outside support. I found a mound of dirt that's in the video. I pushed on it about as hard as the tractor would push with this size of tractor. The pins didn't bend, so as of right now, and we'll see after further testing, I don't see a good reason to put an outside support, but still it be a category 1 and 2. If you choose to use a quick attach and lower it too low and it does that to your shaft, that's going to be operator error, and what would save you is simply just not having this quick attach on this rotary cutter. Some tractors it would work better than others. This is a large tractor, so the PTO shaft is a little high, and then when it goes way down like in a ditch like I put it, that's what made it hit. It's just that quick, and you run a $250 shaft. We'll just stick another one on it and take that quick attach off before we go into heavy cutting, and know we're not going to have a problem. Everything else seems to be perfect. You can look underneath the bottom of it. I pushed a considerable amount of dirt to the point it moved the paint and everything around. And it took quite a bit of push to push back some of those mounds. And I was expecting this to be pushed in a little bit, actually. It's perfect. That's grade 50 steel, welded from both sides. We'll show you a look from underneath the deck. Come on under here, Tam. So as you can see, the Hardox edge is right there, the Hardox paint right there. Edge that Dave milled held up perfect. It's got a couple little dents in it, but we hit a few big things in there of concrete and a big wooden stump. But everything about the edge and the blades is still perfect. Blade holder's perfect. The underneath hadn't even got the paint wore off yet. We didn't really use it for about 5 minutes, but we want to fix the drive shaft and take that quick attach off before we do any more work with it.